And welcome back to episode number 50 or 45. Damn it, Ben, I messed up again.
It's me.
45 of Raise the Banner podcast. It's your OG3 co-hosts, myself, McAtour, here with Benny Ballgame. JR is back after a brief absence of his work schedule, screwing things up. And then tonight we got special guests, Lucy. Is it Burdge? Lucy
Yes,
Burdge?
correct. Yes,
How
correct.
you doing, Lucy?
I am doing great. Fantastic. Football is back. Patriots are back. So it's a perfect night to be on here. And I thank you for having me on because it's very exciting.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we were originally going to start at 7, but I was like, oh shit, the Pats are on at 7. So I wanted to get in and get out before Drake May takes the field. So
That's a good point.
That's exactly why I thought we started at 6:30. Got to get the Drake May viewership going.
Yeah, because I don't think he'll be on until 7:30, 7:45 range, assuming Brissett gets a couple series. But
let's just hope Carolina gets the ball first. That'll delay us a little extra.
Yeah,
they'll give us some time.
Exactly. But all right, yeah, we're going to start off with some Red Sox. Obviously, they took 2 out of 3 from the Royals. They really probably should have taken 3 out of 3. They kind of blew up last night. They are a game and a half out of the playoffs now.
Yes,
things are looking good, not great. Obviously, we've seen the offense kind of come alive the last few weeks or the last 2 weeks, and the pitching rotation has done the complete opposite.
Yeah.
They have kind of shit the bed, especially Cutter Crawford. I took when I saw that he was pitching, I was like, all right, I'm going to take a Royals player to hit a home run. I took I forget his name. Yeah, there you go. And I say his name. I was like, yeah, I'm taking him, and I hit for $75 last night. I was like,
jeez.
I was like, that's bittersweet. They had a bonus bet for 30% boost on it. So I was like, all right, they let me put $10 on it.
Yeah, there should be odds for how many home runs Cutter Crawford will give up per start. If it will be over under 5, I think it should be right now.
That might be a little low.
It would be very
low.
I
might take the over
under 10. Yeah, because you never know how many home runs. He just loves giving up. He is in love with giving up home runs because he can't not do it. It's insane.
The last 4 or 5 outings, it's like I've never seen a guy like every round it's 3 or 4 home runs a game.
Yeah.
And it's just
at different points. Yeah, at different points, the Red Sox have the highest ERA in baseball. At a lot of that is Cutter Crawford. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean their rotation as a whole has been very underwhelming. Tanner Houck has struggled a little bit. Crawford has been awful the last month. Pavetta's, you never know what you're going to get from Pavetta each game. You could get 6 innings, 2 runs, or you could get 5 innings, 5 runs. He's never consistent, and it's, he battles, which I like, but he's that number 4 or 5 guy, and we unfortunately have to ask him to be the number 2 or 3 guy.
Right, but who's been great for strikeout props? James Paxton. First start back with the team over on K's. I bet that out of a nostalgia. Like, yes, he's back. That's a really great thing. Over on K's right away, right out the gate. So that was exciting. So he's been a bright spot, I feel like, since he returned in his short return so far. But yeah, it's been tough. The offense has really had to pick up where the rotation has been lacking, which they have been. But yeah, they should have swept that series. And I think they know that. And going forward, I think that they will really, really step it up and continue to.
Yeah, I mean, Romy hit his home run last night to go up 3-2, and then I think Devers hit a double, I believe, to make it 4-2.
Yes.
I think, or he hit a double, and then someone got him in. And we were Ben and I did a baseball camp this morning, and actually Romy was there. So he landed at 5 a.m. and then came to a 8:30 start baseball camp. I'm like,
oh my god,
this dude must be
running
on fumes.
And on the Pavetta thing, he said he is the least funny.
Oh yeah, I did ask him that question.
And he said
Pavetta
he tries too hard.
He's the least funny pitcher or the least funny player on the team?
Player on the team. Yeah.
No, that's so sad.
I asked him least funny and then most funny. And most funny, he said Crawford. Speaking of Crawford, and he said Devers, and but like I imagine it's more in kind of that goofy
like kid, like he's a
not like someone like actually cracking jokes, just being that like bubbly personality that kind of makes you chuckle.
Right. And I still can't figure out, I don't know if you asked him about Tristan Casas, but is Tristan Casas funny, or is he just so interesting that it's funny, or is he just so off the wall that it's just like I can't wait to see what he says or does next? Or is he funny, or is that just him? Because I was going to say Tristan Casas, but then I thought, is he actually funny, or is it
probably a little of both?
Maybe.
I think he has some like funny in him, and he makes some like funny jokes. But then he's also just this incredibly unique personality that like just goes by.
Because are they even jokes? Like when he said have lizards evolved because he can't catch them now, was that a joke or was he? I think he was serious. He was mad. He could not catch the lizards that are at spring training because they've evolved.
From everything I've heard, he's a personality that like you will never fully comprehend.
Yeah.
You can talk to him day after day and like he's going to surprise you the next day with something that he's doing or saying or talking about. And I guess like I don't know. I guess that keeps you on your toes and it's fun to be around.
I think it's phenomenal, especially for the vibes, of course, but also for the Netflix documentary, because coming into this, everybody called this is that he will be the star of this documentary. So that's how you know it's not scripted, I feel like, because they wouldn't have him get hurt if he was actually, if they were going to script this, because they were like, oh no, he's not even good. But I think they are following him where he goes as well and getting footage of him going to Woo Sox games and playing for the Woo Sox also. But I think it's tough to like what he said about the Celtics. He was like, oh, the Mavs to sweep. And then he was things that he says, I feel like that was a joke, but he also, I think he has bits more so. But he plays it off as like, this is really me, but actually it's a bit. But the bit is that I am really just unique, I think is what it is.
Yeah, he might be playing into it himself where he knows people are like looking for that kind of personality from him and he plays into it. Like even when he was getting, was it like Sunday Night Baseball at ESPN? Like he was hurt and he was talking and like they basically had to like, okay, we're done here because the dude just wouldn't stop talking.
Did they even ask him a question? Like, I feel like they were like, Tristan Casas, we're down in the dugout with Tristan Casas, and he just starts talking about Father's Day. That his dad got arrested, and then he said he exaggerated that, but I don't know. He's got quite an imagination. If so, but certified yapper he is one thing because he is also the best sideline reporter. No shade to Jemai or TC because they are also wonderful. But Tristan Casas has nailed the mannerisms of a sideline reporter, where the player's answering the question and you kind of look away as if you're like you're listening, but also like looking for other people to interview. He phenomenal, absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, well, just give him a mic and he'll talk for 2 hours
about anything.
It will branch from like the Red Sox to, like you said, his father. Like I don't know, what was it? His father was
at a little league game. Like the police came because his dad
like
was
hitting him or something like that. Like in a little league game. And I thought of his father. I'm like, what are you doing talking about this on national television?
Seriously, he was like,
I don't need the world knowing that you hit me.
Right.
But all right, we branched off a little bit off topic
sorry.
with Tristan Casas. But anyways, the Royals series. I mean, they took 2 out of 3, so it's tough to kind of get upset about that series. But that being said, we obviously kind of looked at game 3 and said like they probably should have had that. So now they kind of sit a game and a half back. Where's your mindset going into tomorrow's series against the Astros, I believe?
Astros, yes.
Obviously a very big series again. Are vibes up, vibes down for you? How are you feeling?
Vibes are up. Vibes are honestly always up with this team because I think they will make the playoffs. So I'm very, very high on this team. It just, a little tidbit about this team. To make playoffs, their odds are plus 105. To miss the playoffs, minus 125. So you can still get this team, this Red Sox team, at plus money to make the playoffs. And I believe this is a playoff team. So you get a little bit of value there if you'd like at BetMGM. They are 6-4 in their last 10 games. They're well above 500 at this point compared to how they have been playing for the past couple months, where they have stayed pretty steadily at 500. Now they are above 500, 6 games back in the standings. Their World Series odds not too long ago, plus 5,000. Now at plus 4,500 to win the American League, plus 2,500. Their win total over under 85.5. I think they will go over that. This team could win 90 games. I am, as the vibes are as high as can be about this team. I think they will be a playoff team. And I think that Dom Smith has a lot to do with this. And there are different moments with this team where you're like, yeah, this group and Cora signing again for 3 more years, I think is a major factor in this, because even if the front office or any players that looked at what the front office did at the trade deadline and said, like, do they think that we are worth investing in? Alex Cora thinks this team is worth investing in, and he is showing them by signing during the season. He is not giving up on this team, because I genuinely think he cares about these players more than like the front office or anybody, but he day in and day out cares about these players more than like his family in this team, I think, is what he cares about in this world. Maybe also running, but he cares about this team, and I think he is invested in this team, and they know it, and that will is a big factor in terms of this team, and I think they will make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Ben was obviously there with me today, where one of the questions that Romy got this morning was, who's your favorite manager that you played for? And I don't know, maybe he's, trying to be biased because he was in front of a bunch of Red Sox fans and he's part of the Red Sox. But he said Alex Cora, because the guy just like understands how to connect and deal with the players. Yeah. He was like, he was a former player. He just kind of connects with you on a different level that most managers do. I was tempted to ask him, like, right while he was talking, I got the notification that the White Sox manager got fired.
Yep.
And I want to be like, hey, what are your live thoughts on that? Because he probably hasn't seen it at that point. But yeah, no, I mean, Cora's going to be a big factor in this. He gets so much unnecessary hate by Sox fans, and it's really just the Boston sports fans that will be upset about everything.
Totally.
Something to be upset about. But I mean, yeah, he's going to play a big factor for this team for the future, for now, and all that you're going forward for the next 3.5 seasons. Ben, where are you at with kind of everything? How are you feeling?
Good. I mean, I'll steal a line from Lucy. Vibes are up. I will take my lumps.
Is Kenley up?
I was
Kelly boys are up.
Kelly boys are up.
Never down.
I'll take my lumps. I was really down on this team in spring training on the heels of the Lucas Giolito injury. I didn't think that, even including Giolito, I did not think they did enough to address what I thought was a pretty big need in the starting rotation. I thought the bullpen was going to be fine as long as they stayed healthy. There were no issues there. I thought the offense was going to compete. The big question mark was pitching. They were obviously very anti-trading these top 3 prospects. Obviously, a couple of guys are kind of making this a big 4, big 5, if you want to go that far.
It's like a big 10 at this point.
Yeah, just a big 800. Just all the prospects are great. But I think the pitching philosophy that Breslow and Andrew Bailey implemented has done more wonders than I could have expected it to be. It's kind of counterintuitive. I mean, I was a former pitcher myself. So the philosophy became
humble
like
brag.
pitching. Yeah. Humble brag. And so they pitch backwards as a staff. Like, usually you'll come across a couple of guys that'll pitch backwards, so to speak, right? Like, they're not fastball dominant, they're off speed dominant. And with the way baseball's going is everybody's hunting the fastball. That's what they go for, and it's either they ride or die. That's why I think batting average is down, because they're just looking for fastball. They're not necessarily looking to, drive off speed the other way if they're caught off guard, right? And so I think it's really benefiting them, because that's a direction all of baseball is going offensively is you're sitting on a pitch, and good hitters are going to do that anyway, right? But every staff is we're going to sit on pitches because everyone's throwing 95 to 100. So sit fastball because you can't. If everyone's throwing this hard, like no one's going to blow it by you if you can consistently sit fastball because everybody throws 95 to 90 to 100. It's not the days of like Pedro, circa late 90s, early 2000s, when he was one of probably 4 pitchers who were throwing consistently 97, 98. So it's nice to see that the pitching philosophy has really carried. You touched on kind of the roller coaster of the staff. Houck's already well over his most career innings. As of I think last week, he was already 20 innings over the most he'd ever thrown in a season. So we'll see how he goes the rest of the way. And then I think, you just got to ride the roller coaster with Bayo and Pivetta for right now. Because, I think for the most part, I think the highs are high, but the lows aren't super low. Like you're not getting a Cutter Crawford F and a Chris Sale A. You're getting something that's you're somewhere in that like B to C minus, where even on their off day, the offense can still keep you in a game. Maybe you get through 5 and you hand it to the bullpen, and at least you're competitive through 9 innings. I'll just be curious to see how they handle it. We talked about this last week. If they're competitive a month from now, you can't shut Houck down because you don't have the flexibility to do that. So I'll be curious to see what they do with the starting rotation. But I think they are a playoff team. They certainly can get there. They have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. Their next 13 games are 6 against the Astros, 3 against the Rangers, 4 against the Orioles. And they're splitting it half and half. They have half of those games at home, half of those games on the road before they kind of get into
make it or break it next 13 games.
Exactly. And if they can roll, and if they can be, 8-5, 9-4 over these next 13 games, they get
That's great.
They get the Diamondbacks, the Blue Jays, and then the Tigers over Labor Day weekend. And then they've got the Mets, and then the White Sox before they get back into the end of the schedule is pretty brutal. So if they can get through these next 13 games, they'll be in a great spot because the next 15 games after that should be you got to win 2/3 plus of the games. And
even if they go 7-6 for the next 13, like that,
they'll be in a good spot.
I would deem,
yeah.
If they can win 7 out of 6, or hell, even if they went 6-7, they really wouldn't be in a bad spot when you consider the competition that you're playing. But the one thing that you talked about, when they're hunting fastballs and stuff like that, that's the one thing we've seen from Andrew Bailey, the big change since he got here. And we saw it. I saw a chart. I don't have it on me at the time right now, but James Paxton, the moment he got traded to Boston, his fastball rate dropped about 20% and his curveball rate went up 20%. So it's completely reversed. He's here. All of a sudden he's throwing more curveballs and less fastballs. And it's kind of like this weird concept where we kind of all know that off-speed pitches are generally harder to hit. And yet pitchers don't approach it that way. They throw more fastballs than anything else because it's kind of the easiest ball to throw for a strike, I guess, and it's the easiest to control. But Andrew Bailey's saying F that. If the curveball and the slider and the changeup and the sinker if those are the toughest balls to hit, how about we throw them the most? And I think you're seeing it improve the rotation. But down the road, if they can get some very legit talent, like pitching talent, you could see that this rotation really kind of take off to the next level.
That was also something that at the trade deadline I kind of hoped they would go for, like a Skubal or somebody like that. But was that too thinking too far? Maybe, because I didn't know, were they going to actually come through with a move like that? And they didn't, but they didn't do nothing. And I feel like I thought what they're going to do is they're going to sign Cora and then say this was our move for the trade deadline and our big move, and everybody will be happy with it. Right. But then they did make some moves that showed, then they are gearing up for a playoff run, perhaps.
Yes.
But you had said that they are not, there's no disaster. There's just a kind of good, kind of bad, kind of C, kind of B grade. And that's kind of where they have been. They've been mid, this team, which is good and bad, because I would say they would err on the their exciting kind of more, I don't want to say exceptional side, because they're not. They have good and bad nights that are not exceptionally outrageously good, but then they have some that are not so disastrously bad. So they are mid, but they can mid their way to the playoffs, I think, because they're not losing series. They should have swept, but they didn't lose the series. So I think they can mid their way to the playoffs. If not a little, they can reach a little bit of
my biggest thing is I think they can get to the playoffs. I mean, even from the start, I took them at, I think it was over 79.5 wins.
Yep, same.
And obviously that's like pretty comfortable at the moment. The bigger issue is, okay, I think they can get to the playoffs, but if they get into the playoffs, how is this pitching going to hold up in a 5 or 7 game series? And so like, that's where I'm kind of the biggest worry. But at the same time, and we've seen this year in and year out, is get to the playoffs and see what happens. You could have a scenario where, maybe Hug throws a gem and game 2, your offense explodes, even if, Bayo goes 5 and 4 runs, but you threw up 7 runs. And then, so you can create a run in the playoffs very easily. So it's just getting there. That's kind of the main objective, and see what happens. But I mean, I think it sounds like we're kind of obviously in all similar boats where we kind of believe in this team. We're a little bit worried, but if that's where my biggest worry is. If their pitching doesn't improve and they make the playoffs, they're going to have a very difficult time winning a series unless their pitching staff can kind of perform at least solid. They don't have to be great, but solid.
Yeah, that's why I think this series with the Astros is huge, because both these teams are vying for a playoff spot. So they could be a potential team they face in the playoffs. So as they start to face teams that they could face in the playoffs, it becomes a little more interesting to think, okay, is this team up to facing these teams, or potentially teams they could face in the World Series, like against the Dodgers, which is kind of scary. But once they start facing those teams, that's when push comes to shove and you really start to think, okay, this team could be a playoff team, especially against the Yankees.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben. You got something to say?
No, I mean, the only thought that really came across my head was the only thing I got rolling around is they talked about they being Felger and Maz talked about, like, if you just sneak in, like, could they be a Diamondbacks or could they be a Phillies who, if I'm not mistaken, were no better than the 5 seed, and they're the back-to-back, like they're the last 2 NL champions.
You talking about Felger and Maz talking positively about
no. I mean, it was neutral. They weren't.
Hell has frozen over.
They weren't blaming. Yeah,
what's going on?
But they had talked about, like, well, how did those teams compete against the teams above 500, who, in theory, right? You figure, especially now with 6 teams in each playoff bracket, most teams over 500 tend to get in. Like, there's a couple of teams that are 82 wins or 83 wins that might get left out, but they looked at the teams that just got in, specifically Diamondbacks and Phillies, and how they performed against teams with a 500 record or better. And it seemed to be that, so as of right now, the Red Sox sit at, they're 29 and 38 against teams with a winning record this year. And that seemed to be right around the same number that, like, the Phillies and Diamondbacks ended up with. They were 8 to 9 games under 500, where essentially if you're okay against teams that are above 500, not getting your doors blown off by teams over 500, that lends credence to the idea that maybe they can make some noise in the postseason, especially where the structure of the bracket is, even if the Sox get in as the number 6 seed, you're only facing the number 3 team the first time out. Whereas in years past, oftentimes we're getting the 1 or the 2 seed, not the 3. So, you're getting a little bit of a better matchup. So if you can just tread water against those, 500 or better teams, then
I mean, who would they be playing right now? If they were if they get the final wild card spot, who are they playing in round 1?
Houston.
Is it?
There you go.
Is it Houston?
So right now, the Orioles and the Yankees are tied. They both are 68 and 47. The Cleveland Guardians are the 2 seed at 67 and 47, and then Houston is 59 and 55 sitting in the 3 spot. So it would be right. So if the Sox were to get in, it would be Sox, Astros, and then it would either be, depending on how the tiebreaker works right now, it's either Twins, Yankees, or Twins. I'm sorry, it's either Twins, Guardians, Yankees, Guardians, as the other matchup.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if they play the Astros, they got a better record than the Astros right now.
I like their chances. The Astros are on the upswing, though. They are a little bit hot right now, but I don't think that's an issue for the Red Sox. I think they're going to be fine. And that's why I think this series tomorrow and this weekend will be massive for what it says about this team and if they are ready. But I do think the bonus...
They play them again.
Right. And I think the bonus the Red Sox have is the mind of Alex Cora and the attitude of Alex Cora. Because you see him making these brilliant moves, like challenging the Dom Smith play at home and things that do change a game. And so I think that is, I don't want to say secret weapon that they have because it's not so secret, but I think that is a beneficial thing that the Red Sox have going into, let's say, a playoff scenario.
Yep.
Yeah, they get the coaching advantage, I think, more often than not. And if they can,
very true.
I mean, it doesn't seem in retrospect like something that's a major concept, but like you make one important decision. Like I forget exactly what game it was, but they pitch hit Romy in for I think Dom Smith, and the dude hits a 2-run shot to go up like 4 instead of 2, and I'm like, dude, that's a beautiful decision.
Right. Yeah, it's a masterpiece of managerial brilliance.
We got Jules coming in and says Lucy's got a top-notch setup.
Oh, thank you.
The microphone.
I got this at the Celtics parade.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
One
other Red Sox topic I do want to touch on is the AL Rookie of the Year race.
Yeah.
We've kind of seen, I kind of feel like Rafaela and Abreu's getting the short end of the stick odds-wise. Yeah. I feel like they shouldn't be as far back in the odds as they currently are. What are your thoughts on, I guess, the odds and betting odds and stuff like that in the race in general?
Yeah, they are definitely not getting as much respect as they should be, especially Abreu. So Abreu right now at BetMGM is plus 1,400 to win AL Rookie of the Year, which I think is a disgrace. He should be like plus 600 to win this. There was an article in Forbes yesterday titled, "Wilyer Abreu's progress is a welcome surprise for the Red Sox." He is getting attention. Wilyer Abreu is getting attention. People are noticing. People are paying attention. So he, among other rookies, he is ranked first in OPS with 856, first in doubles, 24, batting average fourth, 273. He's fifth in home runs with 12, seventh in RBI with 42, but he's first in 2 categories. His odds should be much higher on this list here, and I would take him for AL Rookie of the Year. Wilyer Abreu at plus 1,400.
Yeah, I'm shocked of how low they are. I know Ben knows that I took Rafaela I took him at plus 5,000 on one site, and then I went and looked at another one, and it was plus 7,500 before the year. And I was like, I got to put more money here.
Yeah.
So I just tossed like 10, 15 bucks on it. So, I mean, he's got my vote. I threw a little bit of money on Abreu, but I'm definitely kind of rooting for Rafael because I'll take another.
Yeah. But like, what do these guys? What do they have to do to get the respect that they deserve? Like, it's crazy, and I feel like it's because it's the Red Sox, and the mindset of people outside of this region perhaps is like, oh, the Red Sox aren't good. Like, the team stinks. Every time I say something good about the Red Sox, I get people replying saying, well, the team stinks. The team stinks. I'm like, have you watched them? They don't stink. That's just the narrative that is out there. So maybe it translates to the odds makers, and they're like, well, they're on the Red Sox. So what kind of impact could they make in this race? And are they really worthy of their odds being higher or ahead of other guys in this race? I think they are. And I think Wilyer Abreu should slice those in half, like plus 700, plus 600 for his odds, because it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the one knock on Abreu that I would imagine that they use is he's not a full-time player.
That's true.
And he doesn't play that much against lefties. Should he? I mean, I maybe not, especially with the kind of roster that they have with Ref Snyder, the way he hits lefties, and O'Neill is an option too. So they have that luxury. So I guess it's probably the biggest knock on his game right now. But like you said, like he missed, what was it, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? and he's not a full-time player, yet he's still up in like the top of AL Rookie of the Year rankings.
Exactly.
So
And of all
imagine if
in
he played
stats, it like leading in 2 categories.
exactly.
Here. It's
So
crazy.
he's doing it at like half the games, or maybe 3/4 of the games.
Yeah.
He's putting out the same numbers in less time.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
it's kind of a double-edged sword in terms of fighting the odds makers and all that. But I agree. I think he should be significantly higher. And then Rafaela, I don't know. I mean, he's tough to judge. I know he's taken some strides over the last couple of months. He's steadily kind of improving a little bit at a time. He's obviously, I think he's the first player in, I forget exactly how many years, to play 60 games in center and shortstop in the same year, which,
right.
I mean, you just obviously don't see happen very often. So he's becoming a full-time player with the Sox. I think his odds are also a touch lower than what they really should be, because if he continues this for the rest of the season, he'll be up there in the top 5 in many categories within the Rookie of the Year race as well.
100%. But yeah, that's why I think both of them should be getting much more credit than they have been.
Yeah, but all right, let's transition into the Patriots. Now JR can talk. You got a gripe from Jules again. Can we get more professionalism from JR?
Ooh. Oh no.
You have a guest on. Stop looking up what course you're playing tomorrow.
Up at all. Bro's blowing my DMs.
All right. Obviously we got Patriots preseason that's starting right about now, so you can probably hear my dogs barking in the background for no reason.
They're excited. They're so excited for the game to start.
Yeah, they're nuts, but obviously, yeah, Patriots are back. Patriots football is back. Preseason game number 1, Drake May's debut. What's been your overall thoughts so far with training camp, and how are you feeling about May and his progress overall?
Yeah, I feel like the reaction to Drake May at training camp is good. That there is, I don't want to say quarterback competition, but is there? Because does Jacoby Brissett know that yes, he is going to start and he is the veteran and he gives them advice and he plays 2 roles as not just not going to be the backup, but does he know in the back of his mind that he will eventually lose out to Drake May? Is Drake May that good? But one thing I have noticed in training camp is that there are a lot of illusions and mentions and references to Belichick. The ghost of Belichick is still very much there, where Gerard Mayo is referencing I'll give saying all 4 quarterbacks are going to start in this game. That's more than you've ever gotten in the past from a coach in terms of ahead of a game. And he references the way he answers questions, and Bill taught me not to talk about other players on other teams. And you have Matthew Judon in that whole situation where he said, I chose the Patriots because of the coaching, because of Belichick. And now, I don't know. And things where even Judon on Twitter, would that happen under Bill Belichick? And so I feel like that has been there throughout training camp, and we'll be very interested to see if that continues throughout the season. If they decide, let's not mention him so much, let's not really refer to him so much, even though he's still very ensconced in that building and in the style of this team. I mean, this tonight is the first night in over 2 decades that Belichick has not been the coach of the Patriots, and the Patriots game is being played, and that's crazy. So I think that is my biggest takeaway, was oh yeah, they really haven't moved on. I guess Gerard Mayo, I mean, it's a tough spot for him because he is now the new coach of the Patriots in 24 years. But I feel like, will they now move on from that as they go on? And even watching pregame tonight, it's a weird thinking about the visual of this, where the coach on the sideline is not Belichick, and the quarterbacks, none of them are Tom Brady, which we've kind of moved past that. None of them are Mac Jones.
So it's not over it.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be very weird. So yeah, we're all heartbroken over Mac Jones. But no, it's no, but
I meant Tom Brady.
I know, I'm kidding. No, I know. So it's going to be strange, but I feel like in terms of training camp, I feel like the offensive line is the biggest concern. And that's all I'm hearing is it could be a disaster. Don't put Drake May in when the guys you can't trust are in because he could get injured. And So there's catastrophizing. But I still feel like this team doesn't have an identity that you can really pinpoint, or a real like roadmap to how the season is going to go or start or play out. So
you don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's, we can get into the Ayuk talk in a bit, but like that's part of the issue right now with Ayuk is like, if you're Ayuk and you're looking at this team and you're like, well, what is this team? What is Drake May going to be? What is Gerard Mayo going to be? What is the future of this team? And it's kind of a little bit of a furry thing. The one thing on the Belichick talk is the ghost of Belichick is going to hang over this team for, I would say, at least the next half decade.
Oh, definitely.
Like, it's not going to go away anytime soon. There's always going to be comparisons, and then it doesn't help that Mayo is a Belichick drafted guy. Mayo is a Belichick drafted hire. Wolf is basically everything in the Patriots is a Belichick guy, except for Bill Belichick. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But JR, let's get you talking. Where are you on the Patriots talk and all that?
I mean, if you want to talk about Brandon Ayuk, I would like to piss Jules off a lot. The kid that's been fucking commenting. He's trying to say like, oh, the Patriots were like never interested in shit like that, and the 49ers and everything like that, or they weren't interested in trading for Brandon Ayuk, and the Niners weren't going to take anything. Well, it seems like they had the framework for a trade accepted, but Ayuk is using his brain, or not using his brain, and doesn't want to come here. So, I mean, $32 million, he'd be the second highest paid receiver in the league, but he'd rather play with fucking Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So, brain dead.
Do you think that's what it like? Because what I feel like it's pretty cut and dry is just he didn't want to come to New England. Like, they didn't offer him enough money, and he didn't want to live in New England. And it's a Calvin Ridley, like, oh, his girlfriend wanted to live in the South. Like, it would just there. I don't know if that was true or not, but he just didn't want to play for the Patriots.
Well, Mike Reese reported that they offered $32 million per year annual salary. So
and Bert Breer on my ride home like an hour or so ago said from what he's heard, Pittsburgh's around 28 a year. So guarantees, like, we don't know, but on paper, I mean, we talk about a 4-year deal. That's what, $16 million over 4 years. That is a difference. Is it a ton in retrospect for like a player like that? No, but like, it's certainly not a little bit. Like, it's a big difference. In terms of like what I posted it today, and I was like, I wouldn't, like, I know the Patriots came out and said, hey, we're out of this. Like, we're not doing it. The Patriots aren't out of this. If Ayuk's agent called Elliot Wolf, and said, hey, like, I want to make a deal happen in New England, Wolf's not going to be like, you know what? No, we're done. We're not interested anymore. They're just kind of sitting back now, and if the Pittsburgh deal falls apart and that becomes a scenario where it's not really an option for Ayuk, if you're Ayuk now, what's your option too? Right. And so we heard, like, he doesn't want to come to New England, and there's all these kind of little spurts. My wonder is, are reporters hearing he wants Pittsburgh, which means he doesn't want New England and Cleveland, or is it just straight up, I don't have interest in going to New England? Yeah. That's where I'm kind of wondering, and because if I'm a reporter and I hear he wants to go to Pittsburgh, I would interpret that as he doesn't want to go to New England. Right. So I don't know what the exact outcome would be, but if Pittsburgh falls apart, which I think it'll eventually get done, but if it doesn't, what is his option two? If New England's offering $32 million a year, and his other options are Cleveland at 28 and staying in San Francisco at 26. I mean, that his preferences might change at that point.
Right. Unless he just doesn't want to live in New England and play for a team, which is crazy. I mean, it used to be within the past era of the Patriots that players were specifically asking to come to New England. And now they are begging not to come to New England. And the money used to be, money is no factor. I want to play with the high level of elite competition and winning, and doesn't matter what it takes. I want to win a Super Bowl. And now they used to come here to win a Super Bowl. And now it's, how much money? I don't know. Even then, I don't know. It's the weather. It's this. It's that. And that was never a factor before. And now we are seeing the stark contrast and the really sad fallout from what has happened to the Patriots post Tom Brady and maybe even a little post Belichick. I don't know if that matters so much, but it's tough to see when a player doesn't want to come to New England. But also, are the Patriots doing right back to Ayuk what he did to them? Is like saying, oh, actually, then we're out of it then. So then and then he'll think about it and be like, oh, well, maybe I do want to come to the Patriots then. So there's a little bit of a playing hard to get thing.
Yeah, so I mean, someone commented to me today, and it kind of actually made me wonder. I don't think it would be a big factor, but what if Drake May comes out and balls out tonight?
Yeah,
like what if he looks great tonight?
Yep.
Does that, if you're Brandon Ayuk, because obviously, and like you said, they're just not the same attractive team to players around the league. So. The question is obviously, what are they going to be at quarterback over the next few years? What is Gerard Mayo going to be as a head coach? What is Elliott Wolf going to be as he's technically not GM, but GM. And so there's a ton of questions, understandably. But again, I know it's preseason, but like if you're Ayuk and you watch Drake May ball out, over the next hour, does it make you kind of think back and say, maybe he's the real deal and that's the better option? And like JR, you said, like, I mean, no shot to Russ Wilson. Has had a great career, but he's not what he used to be.
No,
and
he's really corny now too, which is disappointing.
Jesus. Yeah, that and to say it lightly, Justin Fields sucks. And
he's a kick returner.
Yeah, well, the talk, oh my God, did Felger and Maz piss me off the other day. They trashed Justin Fields for months when it was like, hey, would Justin Fields maybe come to the Pats? And then they have the audacity to say the other day, when comparing the Pittsburgh and New England, saying, hey, I don't know if Justin Fields is bad or good. Like, you just trashed him for 6 months, and now you're just playing the game like, oh, he's really just not that good.
You know why they do that? To make you angry and to make you react.
I try not to, like, I listen to him a decent amount, and like half the time I'm like, I'm not commenting, but they'll hit the nerve every once in a while, and I'm like, that is just flat out ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I mean, did you see even Mike Reese, even when he went on? And I have never seen Mike Reese angry or that angry. The veins in his face were popping, and he was like, that's not what I was doing. That's not what he was like, I love you, Mike, but no, that's not what I was doing. You would check it. That was incredible.
I mean, he really wanted to say other things, I think, to Felger, because I think he was like genuinely kind of pissed off.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta tell you, I'm mad. You can say pissed off. He's like, that pisses me off. It's like, wow, Mike Reese, the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah, well, because he made a good point. Felger was making it seem like Reese is the Patriots call boy, and he gets all his info from the Patriots and no one else. And Reese was like, that's not how it works. And that's not how it works, because Felger used to be a reporter. And he's like, I wouldn't come online and on SportsCenter and say the Pats are offering this unless I've heard from multiple sources from within the Patriots and outside the Patriots that is, correct. He's not just going to be – Elliott Wolf just didn't call him and say, like – report this. Yeah.
Which does happen. Yes, I don't know. You don't know when. I don't know who and when and what, though. This very much could have been he checked it because he has a journalistic integrity. So, I mean, I believe him, but it's a very interesting discussion.
I'm Team Reese at all times. So,
he's
a great guy, great reporter. Ben, where are you at? You haven't kind of given your input. What's your thoughts on Ayuk and that whole situation?
I mean, obviously, he's a significant upgrade over anybody that we have currently on the roster. No slight to Polk or Baker, because everything that I've read and seen indicates that, the ceiling is pretty high. The sky's the limit with them. That really depends on development and growth within the organization. But it really feels like, and I hope it's not, I don't know, call it the placebo effect, that it's not Bill Belichick evaluating a wide receiver for the first time in 23 years, which I think was a significant weak spot of his.
You saying he wasn't good at that?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that he just wasn't good, because he seems like a smart enough guy that he just wasn't. He seemed smart enough to not be the guy that didn't care to evaluate wide receiver talent. I'd like to think that he just valued things at the latter part of his career that were not key components that make elite wide receivers in this league. Having said that, we drafted 2 X style wide receivers, not Y wide receivers, which is more the direction that a lot of teams go in. Having said that, I mean, I'm certainly excited. We'll see, games on mute in the background. We'll see what Drake May does when he gets his opportunity. It's pouring at Gillette, which I feel like is not a great recipe for seeing what he could do, especially against a Carolina first team defense. Even if he's playing against a first team defense, it's not very good.
It is raining.
And so, the first series didn't look super great outside of a 15-yard run by Ramondre Stevenson on the first play, but I digress. So, I mean, I like the youth movement. I really believe in Drake May. I have no problem with them. I don't want to say waiting forever. I don't want this to turn into a Jordan Love situation where we don't see Drake May for 3 years. Granted, we don't have a Aaron Rodgers type that we can afford to let him sit there for that long. But yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see, how things go. To your point, Matt, I really don't think that they've completely closed the door on Brandon Ayuk. I think his options are certainly limited. I think, given that his best option at this point, all things being equal, is Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Because I don't know as if at this point, whether he's there next week or a month from now, meaning gone, I don't think he has a future in San Francisco. I get that their Super Bowl window is kind of small, which might be why they're trying to move him, because if they can add assets and extend the window or shorten the time it takes to get back to opening that window again, we'll see. But it seems like he wants an opportunity to win, not necessarily just chase the dollar sign at the end of his paycheck. Because if that was the case, which you see with a lot of pro athletes, and you can't blame them, especially in football when the average career is 4 years. And so I don't blame a lot of guys who want to chase the dollar sign. It's their livelihood. They're not going to, who knows what the future holds for them. But he clearly isn't the guy that cares about money and nothing else. He wants an opportunity to win. The Patriots, I would say, at best,
in San Francisco, man.
But they don't want to pay him what he wants, right? And so, I think between contract negotiations not going great, and then they spend their first round pick on Ricky Pearsall, I think that maybe he kind of sees the writing on the wall. I can stay here for below market value, or I can go somewhere else and hopefully still compete for wins and for championships and get paid. But at the end of the day, money does talk. And so, I mean, the Patriots are, I would say, at best a year away from being relevant again in terms of the football landscape. They're always going to be relevant here in New England, right? But I think that
depends on tonight, I think.
Yeah. Tonight will go a long way to determining that. I mean, I would love to have Ayuk here. I love what they're doing with the 2 young guys. And if there's one thing that you can't really have enough of, especially with a young quarterback that you're trying to develop, you can't have too many guys around him that can make plays with the ball. I mean, you look at a guy like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is nothing special in terms of his raw athletic ability, but he has an elite offense around him. And we obviously, we know the names. So if you can offer that to Drake May and not necessarily stick him with, who's that guy off the street you're throwing the ball to, then that makes that growth and development, that transition a lot easier. So I'd be happy to have him, but if he picks somebody else because he wants to win and he's not going to win here as quickly, I get it. And I do believe that, the $32 million a year offer is legitimate. Mike Reese is probably at the top of the list in terms of credibility when it comes to knowledge about the team. So, if he says they're offering around $32 million, then I believe they're offering around $32 million a year.
Well, Tommy Curran also kind of doubled down on that, and Burt Breer basically said the same thing. Is what he heard is it's around $32 million. No one knows the guarantees.
Right, which is to a lot of, and that goes a long way. I mean, if they're offering, because 32 over 4 is $128 million over 4 years, but if they're only guaranteeing him $50 million, It's like, well,
Yeah.
like, does that 32 really matter if you're only offering him?
I can't imagine a scenario where they're lowballing him. So I
No.
look at
Well,
the St. Brown deal, and he got $77 million guaranteed. There's no way they're sitting here and saying, "Here's 32, but we're only going to give you $60 million guaranteed." It's just not happening.
And as we're talking, Drake May is taking the field.
Oh boy!
Jacoby Brissett
He got one series. We'll see. Tyquan Thornton and KJ Osborne got the start at wide receiver. So let's see. These guys I can see on the field. Looks like Jalen Reagor, Jalen Polk, and Juju Smith-Schuster are the 3 wide receivers that started. So we'll see. I'm not sure what that means. I haven't seen Baker yet. But it looks like they're at least giving Drake May some guys that
I like it.
Are at least a lock or are a fringe wide receiver on this team, and not like, oh yeah, hey, here, go throw to Rashay Caldwell's nephew.
Yeah, and getting him in there already.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I kind of expected 2 series or 3 from Brissett.
Yeah,
I mean they're going with all 4 quarterbacks, which makes me think that maybe Drake May gets the rest of the half.
Oh, look at that! A nice false start for his first time up to the line. A false start.
I can't even get my NFL Plus to work, so it's like
my TV's up there. Yeah.
So I'm like,
Wow. Brian Hoyer. I forgot Brian Hoyer's mixing in the preseason here.
Yeah,
Brian Hoyer.
Not to throw shade. Not a great golfer, Brian Hoyer. Not a great golfer.
Yeah, Ben and I worked David Ortiz's charity golf tournament, and he was there, and he was okay. Patrice Bergeron was there, and the dude. I'm working a par 3 hole, and if you get it on the green, you get like Fanatics dollars and all that. Oh. And he tees up, and he's like, I got this. Just completely just shanks it about 7 feet to the right into the muck, and not even like close to.
Oh no!
Anything like that. He kind of just like looked around and was like, "Did anyone kind of see that?"
This was recently.
Yeah, this was 2 months ago, maybe.
Oh God!
End of May, I think.
How nice of you to tell me, Matt.
Drake May's first pass is a screen pass. 13 yards on 3rd and 12.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Tuca. Oh, speaking of that, Jay, Tuca was there, and this guy literally walks up there, throws a zin in, walks up to the tee box, and just places it about 10 yards from the pin. So he would have won $1,000 in Fanatics dollars, which is like $1,000 to their website, which is a lot for the average person.
Yeah.
We're just like, hey, do you want it? He's like, nah, I'm good. And just kind of walked off. I mean, yeah, not like he needs the money.
You're like, can you say yes and then just gift those dollars to me, please?
Yeah, man, so I can buy another Bergeron jersey, please.
Seriously.
All right, that was a decent throw. But all right, yeah, I do want to finish this up. We'll do a little bit of over-under. I got 3 over-unders for the Patriots this year, and then we can finish up with a state your take moments. The first one, speaking of Drake May, this is kind of I didn't see a line officially anywhere, so it's kind of my own line. Drake May over 10.5 games played this year.
Ooh, I like the over on that. I think they will not be hesitant at all to sit Jacoby Brissett and start Drake May, and he will be starting before too long and could play himself into the starting role and stay there. I like the over on that.
Yeah, that's that's week 6. So he would have to start week 6, which, in my opinion, if he doesn't start week 1, he's not going to start until at least week 4. They're not going to sit week 1, but we're going to play you week 2. Like, that's not going to happen. But I could see a scenario, like you kind of said, where like he gets a few games, 4 or 5 games of the season, he gets his feet wet, another month and a half of like progression and development and practice and stuff like that. And depending on where the Patriots are as a team, they kind of roll him out. And my guess is week 6. That's kind of what I'm predicting. So, yeah, I think I would, take the over. Ben, how about you?
I'm going to take – oh, boy. I guess I'll just be a contrarian and say I'll take the under. I think – I mean, if you had said like 8.5 feels like the fringe number to me. Where is it 8? Is it 9? Because I think the first half of the year is going to go pretty poorly for them. Whereas if it goes, it's tricky. If it goes really poorly, it's going to depend on whether or not the offensive line is holding up. Because I don't think if it's going bad and the offensive line is terrible, like why would you throw Drake May to the Wolves and let him get eaten alive by any defense? If they're playing poorly, but the offensive line is good and you can protect him, then yeah, I think somewhere between week 6 and let's see, what's their bye? 9? I think the bye week is 9, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's later. I think it's.
Or
is it later?
I don't know.
Oh, is it later? Maybe I thought it was 9.
You wanted it to be 9.
Maybe. Well, maybe it's like week 9 is their first game that I think is like a legitimate shot that they win, because I think I have them going like 2-6 in the first 8 weeks. So maybe that could be it.
That actually, JR, where are you at? Over or under 10.5?
What, games until Drake May starts or wins?
Well, no, games played this year, so he would have to start week 6. I mean, technically he could miss something.
I think it'll probably be at 8.
Week 8. All right, so you take the under.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think they're gonna probably wait until about just about halfway to the season to see. Because if that, like you said, if that offensive line's terrible, there's no point in throwing him out there and getting him killed, dude. Like, I'm not trying to see like the 3rd overall pick for this team get absolutely murdered behind a starting left tackle of Vidarian Lowe.
Yeah, I mean the offensive line is going to be a big factor in it. If the Patriots are playing well and they're like 3-3 or something like that through, maybe even 4-2 through 6 games, they're not going to put in May if Brissett's playing that well.
There's no
but yeah, I mean, if they're 2-4 or 2-5 going into like that stretch, and the offensive line's playing serviceable, if they feel May's ready, and I feel this way like about week 1, if they feel he's ready and they feel confident enough in the O-line, go. Just go. Yep. If they don't feel he's ready, that's fine. Wait till you feel he's good to go. But as soon as they feel like he's ready, they should be pushing to get him out there and get him on the field and get him reps. Because as we've all talked about, this is kind of a bridge year, a developmental year where we hope by the end of the year, May, Baker, Wallace, Polk, like these guys take a step and show that they're good players and that we can build on into the coming seasons to go from there. But that's kind of, I guess my next one is I know the technical over-under is 4.5 wins. I personally don't like that, so I'm going to move it to 5.5 wins.
Oh.
Where are you on that, Lucy?
Yes, either way, I'm taking the under, depending on how tonight goes. If tonight goes well, I will move it to the over. However, as of now, under / not taking a side yet. How tonight goes will determine how I bet on the over-under. But as of right now, I don't know what this team is capable of. So the under is where I would play that because I feel more comfortable doing that.
Fair enough. JR, how about you?
4 wins.
Nice.
I could see 4 wins.
Nice.
Another top 5 pick. Go get Willie Anderson.
Nice.
I mean that certainly wouldn't be it would be another tough season, but it certainly wouldn't be like the worst case scenario if they can put themselves in a position.
This is year 0 of a rebuild.
True.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, for me, it's like it's more about when I think Drake May will play.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is Brissett doesn't lose you games. That's my kind of biggest why I'm feeling the over is I know this defense is going to be pretty good. I know this defense will keep them in games. And I mean, the biggest question for us last year was the QB position was just god awful. It's not like they were just okay and not good enough. They were awful and they were giving games away left and right. So if Brissett may not win you games, but he doesn't lose you many games. He's in the top 5 in the last, I think it's the last 8 years or 7 years in interception percentage. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. You don't turn the ball over, and you got a good defense. That's a recipe to have a competitive football team. So I don't think they're going to be, an 8-win team. 7 wins is probably a stretch. But I do think that they could get into that 6-win range. And so that's why I put, I think it was like $50 on the over at plus 165. I want to say I got them at.
Nice.
Which is pretty solid odds. The under 4.5 is like minus 140 or something like that. I'm like, that's the gap in terms of odds between those two things, the games. I'm like, the minus 140 is just not really worth it. I'll take my shot at the slightly over.
Jeremiah we got a sack.
Oh yeah, Farms. I do like this Farms kid. I like Farms a little bit, and I like Sam Roberts to potentially break out with Barmore kind of probably.
That whole situation's really sad. I really hope God bearing he's able to play this year, but understandable if not, because that's a scary thing. David Andrews was out for a whole year with it.
I think he's out for a minimum of probably a couple months. We don't know.
Scary.
A lot of those, from what I read, it could be anywhere from like a month or two to like Andrew's situation. It was like a full year. So, I mean, we'll see on that scenario. But my final over under, which is, I guess, going to be part of my state your take too as well. The official rushing yardage line for Stevenson is 775.5 yards.
Ooh, over. Going over. Life is too short to take an under. I'm going over on that.
Per game?
It's plain and simple. Per game. Yeah, hey, if he's going 775 per game, then we might need to take the over 5.5 wins.
Oh, I thought you said 7 carries for 75 yards per game. My bad.
No,
my internet's so fast right now. It's breaking up. It's just like.
Going over.
Ben, I don't know what's happening to Ben. He's kind of a lost cause over here.
Yeah, sorry. I got it. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So I got a text from both of my daughters are cheerleaders. And with the rain, they canceled practice. So she was texting me being like, please come pick me up. I'm wet. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. So I'm in my car.
So
I missed the middle.
Ben, don't you know this podcast?
Yeah, I missed the middle. I missed the middle over under, but I'll take the. I mean,
sounds good.
No.
all right. You're breaking up.
But no. So I'll take the.
Ben, just go get your kids. Don't worry.
All right. He's breaking up. We're kicking him out.
Oh my God, save your daughters, please.
I'm going over 775.
Excellent.
And I'll kind of transition that into our state your takes to finish up. I guess I would go. I really think that he could have like a 1,200 yard season. I think the O-line, for as much as they'll be maybe mediocre in pass protection, Andrews will be solid up the center. City Sal is a pretty good run blocker. We know Onwenu's a train as a run blocker. If he stays healthy, they're going to run the ball a ton.
Well,
and
Gibson, a running team.
I like Gibson as a passing down back, but like they don't really have much else after Stevenson in terms of like in between the tackles rushers. So I'm going to go. I think he can hit 1,200 yards, which would be blowing past the over. Which when I looked it up, I was like, wow, like I expected at least 850, something like that, closer to maybe 900 yards. So yeah, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, 1,200 yards. Last week I said Jalen Polk, I think he can hit a 1,000-yard receiver season again, just because like I think he's going to be an immediate starter. And there has to be targets to go around. There's Douglas and then who? Bourne's going to be out, and then it's going to go to someone. So I think he'll have a good opportunity to do that as well. JR, where are you at? What's yours?
Well, it's not even football related or baseball related. It's always going to go back to the Bruins.
All right.
I think the Panthers are going to be frauds, and the Bruins are going to have to take first place in the East this year. and you're gonna be looking at a really good team.
I love it.
You're gonna be looking at a really good team.
All right, what's your
the cup.
out of pocket record prediction for them?
I'm gonna be really cocky. I'm gonna say just under what they set the record at. I think they're gonna win about 50-something games.
Ooh,
that is bold. All right,
I'm really high on this, like the defense that they rebuilt with the Nikita Zadorov signing. I'm really high on that. Like, I've been a massive fan of that guy for a long time, and
you've been in MIA. We haven't been able to hear from you since.
I've been really high on Elias Lindholm for a long time. He's from the same part of Sweden as all my family's from, so it's kind of like a cool connection. But I'm just really stoked to see this team because I love what Don Sweeney did in free agency this year. So I'd say probably around between 50 to 55 wins. And shut the fuck up.
Oh no.
he's from Toronto. He's a Niners fan and he's a Leafs fan.
Yeah, he was comments about it. Once that came in, I was like, all right, I got to bring that up. The Leafs don't sweep anyone, especially the Bruins. That's for sure.
They sweep the golf course.
Yeah,
that's about it. All right, Lucy, let's finish up with you. What's your state your take moment of the podcast?
Yeah, so mine is not sports related, but kind of, depending on where you play in sports. It is from the other day. 90 degrees weather-wise is far superior to 60 degrees. And I would take 90 degrees in the 90s over 60s any day of the week, all the time. Today, it was in the 70s, still 73 degrees, still too chilly. I would take it in the 90s all day. It's better than 60s, even 70s.
I have this conversation with my buddies all the time about, especially when it's like a hot day or a cold day. Today was like peak day for me.
Oh, it was chilly. I was so chilled. I didn't like it at all.
Early morning coolness, 50s, maybe like low 60s, and then like the midday is like 75 to 78 range with sun. That's like my peak day. 90, I'm sweating and 90. I'm uncomfortable.
I love it. I would take a humid morning, like a nice balmy morning over a chilly football weather morning.
So sweating.
I couldn't do that.
All day. No, I love it. I have really bad circulation also, which is probably part of it, is that a cold day just knocks me out. So a hot day it's perfect. I love it.
I'm surprised you haven't moved down south by now.
I should move to Florida.
This is like my fiance. My fiance is like, I'm a beach person. Like I deserve to like live on the beach. And she's like, let's move to Florida. And I'm like, no.
You can't. That's
I was like, this is my home.
Right. That's the problem.
If you move to Florida, I will be at your house every weekend.
That's right.
All right. Go to definitely not moving to Florida then. We're good. But hey, that will do it for this week. Ben is prioritizing his children, I guess.
He's okay. I hope his daughters are okay.
Well,
yeah.
So let's hope he knows where to go.
Ben's we're both, Jay, how are you? 27? 26? 27. I'm 28. And Ben's
45.
34.
Ooh, I'm 32. I'm right in between.
35. Yeah, and so we just like make jokes that he's more like 60, and we talk about him in a nursing home and stuff like that. just to kind of he acts like he doesn't mind it, but I know it irritates him just enough to make make it worth it. But all right, yeah, that will be it for this week. Lucy, thank you for coming on. It was I can see the number. It was the highest live views that we've ever had in a podcast.
Well, I'm just honored to be here. Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I had an absolute blast. This was so much fun, and I really appreciate you letting me come on.
Jules went after JR, but I guess he wants to compliment you.
Oh, me? Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jules. We love Jules, don't we? Thank you.
All right, we got Jules hating on JR and loving Lucy.
Love that. The Leafs will sweep.
No, they won't.
Oh, the tides have turned.
No, they won't.
Right.
Whatever you say, Jules.
All right, that will be it for this week. Go Pats. Hopefully Drake May can have a good, what are we, 1 minute left in the first.
It's pointless to watching the rest of the game because Bailey Zappi's in. So.
Oh my God,
yes!
No way.
Oh my God, it's Zappy time. Yay. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Oh my God.
You're a Zappy lover?
Oh, Zappy Head, Stacy's mom. What do they call them? I
man.
don't know if there's a name, but it's Zappy something.
I didn't even want him playing tonight.
I'm mentally ill.
Yeah, exactly. That's us.
All right. Until next week, we'll raise the banner. Thank you all for listening. And we got hopefully another impressive guest coming on next week. I'll wait to confirm it and announce it next week. But Lucy, we'll absolutely have to have you come on again, maybe sometime during the Patriots season. And we'll do some more, live weekly game over and unders and have some fun there.
That would be awesome.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. And, until next week. See you later.
I'm not happy with you.